All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to week 2 of our freshman engineering seminar. Hopefully by now you all are starting to get into the swing of things, getting your schedule down pat and whatnot. Looks like we've got a full house and everybody made it on time, so that's great. I looked on Blackboard and it looked like the vast majority of you had completed your week 1 quiz in advance, so that's good. So just keep in mind we're going to keep with that same schedule. So we're going to have a quiz posted on today's lecture. It'll show up tomorrow, probably around 8 o'clock in the morning, and it will close next Friday at 11 a.m. And so that will be the schedule from here on out, that the quiz will show up the day after lecture, and it'll close 1 hour before Friday at noon. So any questions on that? All right. One thing I wanted to mention, since this is, it's an engineering seminar, and we do want to see or try and make sure that you all have every resource available to you in terms of maybe getting a job or an internship or co-op or something like that. I pulled this from MyMU. This is the fall 2019 event schedule from the Office of Career Education. We're going to have folks from Career Services in here later on in the semester. But I thought I would mention that on September 16th, this is going to be in the Student Center in room BE5, so that's in the basement. It's that long room opposite where the pool tables are. They're having a Jobapalooza there in BE5. It's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., so if your class schedule permits, you might want to check it out. That you might find some opportunities there. And there's going to be some other activities throughout the semester that I'll try and make sure and mention. But that's the one that's coming up in the very near future. Sound good? All right. So what we're going to do today is sort of get into our common pattern with freshman seminars. So like I mentioned last time, each week we're going to have a main speaker come and present to you about what it's like to be a practicing engineer. But before that, we're going to have one of our faculty come in and tell you a little bit about who they are and what they do and where they're at and any advice that they have for you. So we're going to start off with our faculty introduction this week. So our faculty that's presenting is Dr. Salem. He's the chair of the engineering division. So just about everybody in this room, if you haven't already interacted with them, you probably will within this semester or within this year. So it's a really good idea to get to know who he is. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Salem. Let's give him a round of applause. I'll get your presentation later.
Good afternoon. It is noon, isn't it? Okay. As Greg mentioned, that my name is Dr. Asad Salem. I'm the chair of engineering, and that's make me the default advisor for every one of you. Therefore, if you communicate with your advisor and he or she is not responding within 24 hours or 36 hours, please drop me an email or come to my office. My office is at the WAC, second floor. This is where my office. When you go upstairs, you see a sign for engineering. I'm in this suite over here, and our administrative assistant is Lee McDonald. She will be very helpful to arrange a meeting between me and you, and so. My background, why is it not moving? Okay. This is my office hours. You want to see me, you could have an appointment, and there's 2 ways. Send me an email, and this is my email over here, or send our administrative assistant, Mrs. McDonald, an email asking that you meet with me, and we have our phone numbers there. Or you could walk in. She will talk to you. She'll try to fit you in my schedule. In many days, I'm available. I'm there for your help and so. My background. I got my Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from University of Mississippi in 1983, and my Master's from Tennessee State in '89. My PhD from 1996 from University of Akron. All my education was in mechanical engineering. I have, I could say, I mean, good amount of industrial experience, good number of years. I was engineering manager at Spectrum Plastics in Akron, Ohio. And also I was director of research and development in Dovatech in Chicago. My academia experience, I started at Cleveland State University in Cleveland, Ohio. Then I moved to Texas A&M Corpus Christi, then Rochester Institute of Technology in New York. Then I came over here to Marshall. My research, my area is thermofluids, heat transfer, thermodynamics. Whenever I have energy and power moving with fluids, including liquids, gases, it's my area. We use computational fluid dynamics, we use computer simulation and computer modeling to solve complex systems. Renewable energy and alternative energies is my field, from wind energy to solar, fuel cells. This is my area. And energy conservation and sustainability. That how we conserve energy, how to use it wisely, and how to make our system more sustainable with the resources we have. We have resources that some of them are going to not sustainable for many reasons, like for instance coal is not sustainable because of its environmental impact. It's there, we have millions and millions and millions of tons of it, but we can't keep burning at the same level, same rate because of pollution and so. And this is one example. Therefore working for more sustainable resources and so. I'm the chair of engineering, therefore I supervise these programs, the Bachelor of Science in Engineering, Civil Engineering emphasis. And also we have a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering. None of you is Biomedical Engineering because they take similar course, but different than the one you are in now. Bachelor of Science in, our Bachelor of Science in Engineering, it's an ABIT accredited program. And our biomedical engineering will be accredited in 2021. And our electrical and computer engineering will be visited by ABIT this October. We graduated the first class last semester, and therefore, I mean, we are up to ABIT visit this October, and will be accredited very soon. Mechanical engineering is accredited by ABIT. And our Bachelor of Science, we're going to establish a new program called Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. And it's going to be accredited in 2021, and soon we'll start in the program this coming fall, 2020. Now, I looked into your majors. I found that some of you are pre-engineering. Some of you are civil engineering, Bachelor of Science in Engineering, Civil Engineering emphasis. And some of you are electrical and computer engineering. And some of you are mechanical engineering. And some of you are computer science, management, and so. Therefore, my advice to you is try to make sure that you are in the right major. If you are in pre-engineering, we're going to transfer you to the program of your interest by the end of the semester. But if you are fully admitted to engineering program, make sure that you have the right major. Why is that? Because when you go to do degree works, they're going to show you the curriculum for the major you are in. And to make sure that you are getting the right advice and right courses, degree work sometimes acts funny and give you sometimes an old version of it. Therefore, you have to know how to navigate, where to go and get the right courses for you. But there's a default in our program, which is our website. Our website, we maintain all the time the current and the most updated curriculum for engineering. For instance, for civil engineering emphasis, if you click on it and go to the curriculum, you'll see the courses. This is the most recent and most updated courses, curriculum. When there is some difference between degree works and what's shown in the slide over here, we go with this one. Therefore, don't ask your friend, don't go to degree works if you have, follow this site, and you need to communicate with your advisor as soon as possible, because that your advisor will help you. And so, and as an example, you could look into mechanical engineering as well, electrical engineering, and so on. Under each engineering program, we have the curriculum. Mechanical engineering, we have it over here, and you'll get something similar to the one I showed you for civil engineering emphasis. The other important thing that is student advising. Don't rely on yourself or rely on your friend in selecting courses. Please communicate with your advisor. If you don't have an advisor, that means I'm your advisor. Send me an email. Come to our office, and we look into your case and assign an advisor for you. But for advising, you are encouraged, or actually you're going to be required, to meet with your advisor. If you are a freshman or sophomore, you need to meet your advisor at least once a semester. Don't be late. Don't postpone it to the last hour. The ideal time is in your third or fourth or fifth week in the semester. You'll have ample time with your faculty. There's no rush for you. You could take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour and a half, whatever it takes. Don't leave your advisor's office, a faculty advisor office, without all your question has been answered. Therefore, the other thing that, how do you know that I'm sophomore or freshman? Or yes, university tells you that this is your classification, but in our engineering program, we have some of you who transferred from other institutions or from other programs. This is what we go with. We expect you that in civil engineering, emphasis, that in the first year you finish engineering 111 and math 230, which is calculus 1, calculus 2. Therefore, if you haven't finished calculus 2, completed calculus 2 by the first year, still we consider you as a freshman. In order to be considered as sophomore, you have to complete this course, and also to consider as junior, you have to complete the differential equations, math 335, and to be juniors, you have to complete these two courses in civil engineering. This is in our website. Therefore, you could go to it anytime you want. And this is what we go with. This is our classification. The university systems look into how many credit hours you have and give you that you are a freshman, sophomore, or junior, or senior. We don't go by that one. It is very important because some courses require that you have to be a senior in our terms, engineering terms, that you have to be a senior, and so on. Anyway, I don't like to take much of your time because we have other guests who would like to talk to you. You know, at my office now, you have my email. I'm your default advisor. If you can't find your advisor, please come and talk to me. Welcome to Marshall. I wish you a good year. And we are, our faculty and myself and the Dean's office and the university, we are here because of you. We are here to educate you. You are not here because of us, is the way around. That we are here to make sure that you get the best education and to be successful. Thank you. It is going to be transformed to something else. And the faculty of engineering, especially civil engineering faculty, they are debating now what we are going to convert it to. Those who are interested in civil engineering, you're going to receive an email from us when the program is ready and ask you for permission to transfer you to the new program. You're not going to lose any credit hours or any courses. Everything will be counted for you. Now, what we are thinking about the BSE civil engineering emphasis, we are going to make it like an open platform where you can design your own program. This is still, we are in the first stages of this notion. Therefore, if somebody comes to us, say, I want to be in robotics, for instance. Robotics could be from mechanical engineering, you could specialize in robotics, or you could specialize in robotics from electrical engineering or computer engineering. Or if you want to be more into the area, you could go from engineering and we select courses to make your robotics. Maybe environmental engineering. Environmental is included within civil engineering, but you want to have a degree, say, environmental, and so that more emphasis. You could go through that degree. Anyway, it's too early to discuss it with you. It's going to be eliminated, going to be transferred to something else. And civil engineering, if you are into civil engineering, we're going to communicate with you and transfer it to the new degree. We are not going to lose any courses or anything else. Any other questions? Okay, guys, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Before I bring up our main speaker, I want to mention something real quick. Dr. Salem mentioned emails. I'll go ahead and just lay it out right now. As college students, you're going to get a lot of emails, okay? And it's really easy to just ignore them, okay? If there's one person that I would recommend that you pay attention to emails from, it would be Lee McDonald. Lee is our administrative assistant in the engineering division. And so if we as a division send emails about internship opportunities, scholarships, important dates about advising, any of that fundamental information, there's a good chance it's coming from her. And I know it's easy, given all of the stuff that you receive, that it's easy to gloss over that. I strongly recommend that you don't, especially the stuff from Lee, because it's usually if she sends you something, there is a good reason for it. Okay, sound good? All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our two main speakers. I have Simon Fett and Sean Carter from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Now, the Army Corps of Engineers has employed civil engineering students, mechanical engineering students, and electrical engineering students, and everywhere in between. So what they say is really applicable to everybody in this room. So with that, Sean's going to start first. I'm going to turn it over to Sean. Everybody give these guys a warm welcome. So.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Definitely a privilege to be here this morning. Well, this afternoon. I'm still stuck in the morning. Be here with you this afternoon. I'll start by introducing myself and tell you a little bit about the Corps, talk a little bit about civil engineering, talk a little bit about geotechnical engineering, a little bit about hydraulics and hydrology, and maybe some other things that I think you might find interesting. So I kind of threw those up there to date myself a little bit. I was thinking about the old Marshall logos back when I was growing up, and taking a trip down memory lane as I kind of put this together. But also the Corps just kind of lets you know we're older than the nation. We were stood up by the First Continental Congress back in 1775, so we've been around a little while. So just a little bit about me, my education. I'm originally from Ironton. My mother and father are from Wyoming and Mingo counties, West Virginia. I was a first-generation Buckeye. They both went to Marshall. They're Marshall alumni. I probably got more Marshall shirts than I do Ohio State or VT just because I grew up in this culture, going to football games, basketball games, hanging out at Marshall, doing things. So there's my van. If you see that van around town, that's mine. It was the old golf team van. I actually bought it down at Big Blue Auto in Louisa. I guess it went to an auction or something, but I flew the Marshall Collars all the way out to the Grand Canyon there, and that was a good trip. I've got 4 children, so that was a little better accommodations for a 2,000-mile trip. But got to do a lot of neat stuff, and since I've started my career, went to Ohio State University. Being in-state for me, that was a good option. Had a good experience up there in Columbus. Got to see a lot of good football games up there too. And one thing you'll probably hear from the various presenters and from your instructors and everybody that's associated with engineering is don't delay on doing your fundamentals of engineering test or your PE test when those come around. In civil engineering, that's definitely the industry standard now. So if you do the math, I was 3 years. I procrastinated 3 extra years to get mine. I would have been eligible in 2000, but I was able to pass that test and get my professional engineering registration, and then started with the Corps. And they had some programs. We invest a lot in our people. We invest a lot in training. We try to get people out to training at least once a year. This was a headquarters sponsored program where I was successful in getting my salary and my tuition and my travel funded to go to Virginia Tech for 1 year and study to get my master's. So I did that in 2005, 2006. So we invest a lot. So keep moving on. Why did I become an engineer? I was actually in 7th grade, and we were having a little career fair, having people come in, and an engineer came in, civil engineer. I thought, man, that's pretty cool. You know, you get to go out and run around, do things. I like being outside. I'm kind of an outdoorsy person, so I was like, man, this is great. I'm going to have to buckle down in the math and sciences and get after it. So I decided in 7th grade, kind of stuck with it. Might have had a couple goof-off years there in high school, but, you know, stuck with the vision. And went up to Ohio State and just buckled down and decided I was going to do it and did it. And especially through the first part of my career, I definitely got to spend a lot of time outside. If you like traveling and like to be out, there's a very high demand. There's high demand in the office too. We've got so many positions in the Corps that we can pretty much accommodate most people's preferences. I like to try to align folks with their interests and get them in a path where they can excel. So this is just, according to Sean, this is some of my thoughts here. When I was young, engineer, I was thinking, whoa, math, calculus, you know, physics, engineering materials, statics, this is what I got to do. And one of the things maybe I didn't concentrate on as much was communication skills. And through the course of my career, I've just realized how important that is if you're going to be effective at an engineer, really any position. And it's not something to take for granted. Most of the conflicts or issues I have in my position are from lack of communication or coordination amongst people. So to tell you a little bit more about me, I think it's coming up. So transition, school to work. I made it through school, getting ready to get out and get a job. I didn't get on with the Corps right off. There was a hiring freeze in 1996 when the Clinton administration was in. So I went out the private sector. There weren't many jobs around this region. It was kind of a downtime. So I took the first job I could find, and that was being a project inspector out at Spring Valley High School for a company called H.C. Nutting. So I was out there doing the things like this, testing compaction on earth and fill. We, as a geotech and civil engineer, we have some of the largest structures in the world because we use earth as a building material, and that's one of the big challenges of geotech is try to determine the strength parameters. If you have steel, 50 KSI is pretty easy to do calculations, but when you get a mixture of clay and sand or just sand, you have to determine what those strength parameters are. So that's one of the things that interested me and got me into geotechnical. I've tested a lot of concrete back in the day and been out with drill rigs and done footing inspections. For me, when I started out, it really wasn't about the money. I might have been able to go to Columbus or Pittsburgh or somewhere, but I was kind of just feeling my way around, see if I could find something in the region because this is home to me and I kind of like it. So I was able to do that and move on up through that company a little bit over 4 years and then eventually get on with the Corps, which, there we go. So at Ohio State, that was before the electronic age. I was walking through the career office and saw on a bulletin board, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Huntington, West Virginia, and I thought, what's that? So kind of started looking into it a little and was lucky enough to get on with the Corps. Does everybody here know what the Corps of Engineers does? You guys can loosen up a little bit. Is everybody familiar with the Corps? Okay. So I'll get into a little bit about what we do, just trying to get a feel so I can present it in the right way for you. So I worked in 94, 95. Like I said, then I went out to private sector, HC Nutting from 96 to 2000. That was 4 years. I got to do a lot of things. I kept trying to get back to the Corps because I thought I'd really enjoy it. Was able to do that in 2000. And kind of right out of the gate, one of my first jobs was the Marmet lock replacement, which was a fairly large job, $270 million. I think that was the contract price. And I worked out in construction from 2002 to 2009. Just doing the geotechnical aspects of this. We dug 50 feet below the ground surface and down into the bedrock, so we got to make sure everything's stable. And then we brought the river over to our new lock structure. So that was a good experience right out of the gate for me. Tell you a little bit about the history of the Huntington District. We haven't always been in Huntington. We've been in Wheeling, West Virginia, and Zanesville, and the district was formed in Huntington in 1922. So they're responsible for the towing industry, canalization, however you want to say it, and we constructed the first high lift navigation structures. The dams out on the Ohio and Kanawha rivers, they're really, they don't help any with the flood. The gates just roll up out of the water and it's really just open river at that time, but they're for drought periods of time. Because as a Corps, we're obligated to give the towing industry 9-foot depth of water. And if they drag on one of their barges and rip the hull, they would get pretty mad at us. So we're pretty sure we always have 9 feet. I was getting ready to go somewhere else with that, but I won't go into the details. So some of the other things that kind of formed the Huntington District was the 1937 flood. If everybody's from around here, they're probably familiar with that. And that spurred a lot of interest, as any flood or hurricane does. And people start throwing money at it for civil works projects so we can maintain our way of life here. With the Ohio River coming out of banks, that wouldn't have been very good for the region. And then the 77 flood down in the Pike Leviza, eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia, also kind of spurred interest again and got money flowing, and a lot of projects got built, like Williamson, and there's a bunch of them down that way. Most of you guys are probably familiar with them if you're from around here. So there's kind of some cool old pictures, some of the flood in Huntington, some of the locks being built. The lower left hand there is a monolith at the Huntington flood wall over here, which was completed in the 40s. There's kind of the district map. It's hard to see so small, but that dark spot right up there is Akron, Ohio. And so our district is just north of Akron, down to Boone, North Carolina, the Appy State Campus and the headwaters of the New River right there. It's based on drainage divides. It's everything that flows into the Ohio, basically between Willow Island, Lock and Dam, and Meldal Lock and Dam, which is down towards Cincinnati. 45,000 square miles, 35 flood risk management projects, a lot of local protection, so we got a lot to keep us busy. We're one of the larger districts in the nation. We employ over 1,000 people. This is a little bit dated. I didn't get the new numbers, but we've grown quite a bit since I first put this slide together. Now I kind of get into a little bit of what I do at the Corps. I'm a branch chief. I did geotech for about 10 years and then went on to be a section chief and the dam safety program manager for the Corps. And then I'm over a branch now where we do multiple disciplines. I have about 80 people in the branch. So we do dam safety, levee safety, hydraulics and hydrology modeling, and we also do water management. This is our website. You guys can go out and take a look at it anytime. You can look at any of our lakes, see what the lake levels are, what the downstream is, what the outflow is. So kind of neat. You can see what whitewater conditions are. Any of that is right at your fingertips these days, but we have a group of people who maintain this. We have 2 guys roaming in the field that are keeping the gauges working. All this stuff goes by satellite to it's called the GO satellite, and then comes back down to a receiver on the top of the district building up here. So we're getting real-time information. In the, everybody remembers the 2016 flood and how horrific that was, especially Raynell and White Sulphur. I went and toured that after, but we were monitoring in real time, and we had folks going out and shutting gates at Summersville. And the impact we had on that flood was we lowered it at Charleston by about 8 feet. So it would have been up in Charleston if not for Summersville and Sutton and some of the upstream projects there. So we're targeting for 1250. So that's the impact, some of the impacts that the Huntington District has on this region. This was a drought monitor I put together found one year, and the red dots and the triangles, those are all core projects. And the thing I just wanted to note about this one is the topography around here, how it lends itself to a high concentration of projects, and how floods are our biggest natural disaster, so we're trying to protect against those the best we can with our projects, and we mitigate a lot of it. I think the 1937 flood might have been 8 or 10 feet lower with our projects upstream now, so it wouldn't have been near as devastating. So that's kind of why we've become a center of expertise right here in Huntington. There's one other thing I'll add is in the building there on the 5th Avenue and 8th Street also houses a Dam Safety Production Center for the entire Corps of Engineers. Worldwide, we're working on dams, Mosul, Iraq, over in Syria. We're working all over the place. We're up in Alaska. We're doing things for other countries. We sent a guy out to Laos to tour their dams and try to help the government out. So there's just a lot going on. We've got the Mandatory Center of Expertise, which is a review agency for the Corps of Engineers. We've also got a planning center of expertise for inland nav because we have so much navigation around here. The National Center is right here in Huntington, so we attract a lot of talent and have a lot of good people. Here's some of the other impacts of what we do. Kind of, who cares about the Huntington District? What kind of impact do they make in the region and for the country? I won't read off all the numbers, but you can kind of get a feel for it. It kind of boggles the mind a little bit when you think about it, but we have 28.5 million visitors at our projects every year, 89.8 million tons of commodities going up and down the river in our district. So lots of good things. This is one I want to hit on. Hurricane Dorian is going on right now. We have we support FEMA missions, so we have folks deployed out of Huntington. This is actually our commander right here. He's a colonel in the Army, and he's in charge of the Huntington District. We have typically 3 to 4, we call them green suiters, Army guys. We're not Army guys. I've never been in the Army. We're civilians. It's mainly civilian workforce. But this was in an effort to pre-position and get prepared for the hurricane so we could react and help out the folks in the affected areas. So lots of neat things going on. Since I've been there for 20 years, they deployed all over the country for floods, tornadoes, wildfires, earthquakes, hurricanes. After the wildfires in California last year, one of the big things was they were concerned about landslides because you lost all your trees, all your root mats, all this, and worried that the hillsides are just going to fall down and take up your storage in the lakes and have an impact on the downstream folks. So we're out looking at things like that, trying to mitigate some of the impacts of nature. Nature's a pretty tough one to take on sometimes, but we give it our best shot. There's just a few more of the benefits. I won't read all those to you, but what you can see is we have a really large impact. We're the largest producer of clean, renewable energy, 5th largest electric energy producer. We got hydropower in all but one of our locks and dams. Robert C. Byrd does not have hydropower. All the rest of them do. And you know about the hydropower in Summersville. And some of our other projects are also fitted with it. This is kind of how we're laid out in the Huntington District. I work in the Engineering and Construction Division. We're about 230 people right now. And you can see some of the disciplines. We're 230 of the 1,000 people in the Huntington District. We probably got about 500 or 600 here in the Huntington District office. That office is just occupied by us, and then we have folks out at our field offices, operations, rangers, construction offices comprise the remaining folks. You can see we have geotechnical engineers, hydraulic engineers, geologists, technicians, gauge techs, IT specialists, just about any education or discipline you can think of, we probably have one, at least one. So you can kind of roll through it there. I'm representing Geotech and Water Resources, but I'm currently on a developmental with cost and technical support, and Simon's going to give you a lot more background on that here in a moment. So one of my focal point has been dam safety. Teton Dam kind of kicked off awareness with dam safety. We all know about the Buffalo Creek disaster here in West Virginia, mine tailings dam that failed and ended in fatalities. So this stuff still occurs today. The Oroville Dam out in California is kind of a recent one. Tallest dam in the U.S. at 770 feet. They had some large flows and had some severe erosion on their spillway. And there was some real concern that they were going to lose this lake up here. So some engineer had to make the decision to evacuate 180,000 people downstream. So there's some tough decisions out there. Life safety, public safety is always paramount. That's kind of our guiding principle at the Corps of Engineers. This is one I worked on with Geotech. We're kind of concerned with the seepage aspects and exit gradients and eroding out the foundation. We do finite element modeling where we will try to figure out the pore pressure, the water, how fast it's going under the dam and how much pressure is building up so we don't fail it. We do slope stability to make sure the bottom's not going to fall out. This is kind of a picture of the ground breaking up there. It's one I got to see through, one I studied when I was down at Virginia Tech. I'm going to kind of roll this quick because I'm running the clock here. I want to be sure we have time to cover everything. This is a Marshall grad, Andrew Brainerd. He works with us, and we sent him out just this summer out to Hawaii. He was doing some H&H studies out there. So we sent him out to see it firsthand and participate in the public meeting out there. So we got folks down in Puerto Rico. We're working on Rio de la Plata down there. It's about an 8-mile stretch, a levee and channel job that's $325 million construction. With a supplemental right now, we've got about $1.3 billion worth of work in Huntington. The point of this slide I was going to throw up, I'm going to get through all these, but when you do go out in the field and when you start work, bring your gear, be prepared. You can see this was in March. I went up in Ohio, up around Akron, up that way, and got caught in a blizzard. The only one I've ever been in my life, but it was quite an experience. And glad I had my long handle underwear and big fuzzy hat. That's the day after. We got about 16 inches of snow that day, so I was out in the field reading relief wells and doing things. Got to experience some neat things in my career. These are just a few places I've been. I threw it up there. You don't know where your career is going to take you. Just keep an open mind and keep trying and do your best, and opportunities will come your way. Been out to Mount Rainier, Washington. We got to fly around Summersville Lake. We got a couple resident pilots in the district who, when we want to go up and see something from the air, they'll take us up and we can get a bird's eye view. We go up and do recons during floods, look at impacts. We got some neat toys. We have drones to fly and quadcopters, fixed wing, all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, but hopefully that gives you a little flavor of the Corps from my perspective and maybe some career things that if you have any questions on Geotech or H&H or about the Corps, I'm leaving some cards up here. And I'm going to turn it over to Simon, let him talk, and then we'll hopefully have some time for questions here at the end.
Good afternoon, everybody. Been Bad news is I've got limited amount of time. Good news is I talk really fast. So if you have any questions or anything, just say them to the end, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. As Sean mentioned, I'm Simon Fed, I'm Chief of the Cost Engineering Section underneath the Cost and Technical Support Branch. I'm from Huntington. My family's from Huntington. My wife went to Midland, Cabell Midland over there. I went to Huntington High. Some of my hobbies, you know, in this area, being in this area, snowboarding, anything outdoors. I went to Marshall and graduated through the West Virginia Tech Marshall program, so my undergraduate degree was actually through West Virginia Tech. I kind of take claim that it was kind of the pioneering program that brought what you guys have today. It's really amazing to see how many freshman students you guys have. I think I was in a class of maybe 15, so pretty amazing things going on here at Marshall. I went back and got my MSc in Engineering Management at Marshall, so I could truly claim Marshall as my alum. You know, shortly after graduating and working, I did what Sean said and mentioned. You know, take your exams as soon as you can. Don't wait to take those because, you know, knowledge is going to, you know, flow in one ear, go out the other as you progress through your career. Unless you're in a really technical area and you're practicing what you've learned in school every day, it's really hard to retain a lot of it. So make sure you take those exams as soon as you can, and don't wait. A couple other certifications I got in my career: PMP and Certified Cost Engineering certification. One thing I will mention a lot throughout this presentation is the opportunities in the Corps of Engineers. You know, we're a nationwide, worldwide organization, so there's plenty of opportunities in engineering, civil, mechanical, electrical. You know, I know there's some biomedical majors maybe in this class, but you know, whether or not you want to work for the Corps of Engineers in Huntington won't really dictate where you can go with the Corps of Engineers. There's plenty of opportunity to do amazing things in the nation and the world. So my current role as the Chief of the Cost Engineering Section is we're responsible for providing the construction cost estimates, right? So we have a designer that designs the project, you know, all engineering aspects, mechanical, electrical, civil, you know, and then you have the construction folks who kind of sequence all of that activity, all those activities out into a schedule, and we'll not only help them develop a schedule, but we'll also put the cost to it, right? What is the project's budget? What is the construction budget, and how does that all fit into the overall project and program? So some of the vision of our section is to operate as a full-service civil works interagency cost engineering provider capable of providing a diverse range of cost engineering solutions, applying best practices and principles of cost, schedule, and risk. So we also do risk analysis. The mission is similar, it falls in with the vision, but the point here is that we need new and innovative ways of thinking about things, all right? So what we're trying to do in cost engineering is use new tools, use new methods to develop costs, develop schedules, to see how they integrate, to look at risk, see how we can integrate risk and see what risk does to our projects, so that way we have better foresight in the future of developing these costs and coming in on our projects under budget and under schedule. So main goal there is we got to look towards the future, and you guys are the future of our organization, of our section. So I'm looking towards you guys, and I'll go over a little bit about opportunities. We'll have some student opportunities coming out specifically in my section this fall, summer. So please be looking for those, and I'll show you a little bit about how to sign up for those. Here's an example of what kind of our cost estimating software looks like. Very simple access-based software, and then you guys probably aren't familiar with Primavera yet, but it's a scheduling software, very simple software to learn. We'd be more than happy to have a student come in, get experience with both of these softwares. This one is industry standard. You could get a job out of school immediately if you knew how to use the software. You go out there and learn how to use the software, you get a job doing any kind of engineering, any kind of scheduling, and not just in engineering. If you decide to change paths, learning how to schedule is going to be something that you'll need in any kind of position that you go into. So primary points: estimating, schedules, and risk uncertainty. Some of our stakeholders that we do work for, we don't just work for the Corps of Engineers. As a federal agency, we can work for other federal agencies. So we've got interagency agreements with Department of Energy doing nuclear decontamination, decommissioning. What is it going to cost to bring down these nuclear era buildings that developed the stuff that went into the bombs that inevitably went down on other countries, right? Or NNSA, they're building new facilities. Department of Veteran Affairs, we've got hospital constructions going up all around the nation. So if you like vertical construction, if that's kind of your thing, we've got projects we're helping them with. Department of Homeland Security, I think everybody knows what's going on there with the border wall. Sean mentioned FEMA, emergency response. You know, there's great opportunities to get a lot of experience very quickly and make a lot of money for those for entry-level engineers. National Science Foundation, we're doing a cost estimate right now on the McMurdo station down in Antarctica, right? So they're renovating this this station down there, and how much is it going to cost to get materials down there? So some things you have to think about, right? So some of the things that we want to make sure we're doing is building resiliency and sustaining our future. Like I mentioned, you guys are our future. We want to build the bench, improve our processes and methods with new ideas. You know, don't think that since we're the Corps of Engineers of the government, we can't change our processes. We need people to come up with those processes, and we need those processes to make sense for everyone, right? And then we need to drive those processes down, up the ladder, up the chain, and make sure we get things changed so we can catch up with industry and stay ahead of everything. But yet maintaining flexibility is the main thing, right? So employment opportunities, right? You probably heard, if you've heard anything about the government, all government jobs go through USA Jobs. This is a snapshot right here of just something I pulled off yesterday. Go on there, build a profile. I know you're a freshman, but you know you're not sure what you want to do yet, right? If you're not sure which engineering you want to pursue, but you know you want to go into that engineering, but you don't know if you want to go into civil or mechanical, it's still okay to get a part-time job. The good thing about us is we're extremely flexible in schedules. You know, we'll work around your schedules, your school schedules. I think there's a minimum of 20 hours you have to work, but you know, if you can't work those 20 hours, we can figure out a way to do it. You know, so don't be reluctant about getting on, signing up. Benefits, broad spectrum of engineering, right? Like I mentioned, we're working for other agencies. If you're into biomedical or something, you know, I don't know, VA is probably not biomedical exactly along biomedical lines, but at least you can build your resume with certain projects you work on, right? That's another main thing you want to do when you're going through school, is to build your resume. You know, gain the experience, but build your resume with other things as well. Voluntary opportunities, volunteer as much to as many possible events, things you can do that are aligning with engineering, because your resume is going to be very limited unless you have experience during every summer. So make sure you're doing that. What next? Don't wait to ask questions. Ask questions. If you have a question, ask a question. There's my contact information. I'll leave a few business cards here too if you want to pick one up on the way out. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us.
Anybody have any questions for either Sean or Simon?